Hello, everybody. My name is Ben Bernard Smith, and I am a comic writer and artist living in England. And I just wanted to have a go at making a video talking about my biggest inspirations in making the comics that I make. So what have I made? A few years ago, I started a web comic called Dennis Day Out that you can read at my website, benbernardsmith.com. There's a dash between Bernard and the Smith. And also on Webtoons as well, about a little girl in a boat sailing across the seas and all the different characters she meets there. I also made a webcomic for the online digital comics magazine Aces Weekly, and you can find that at acesweekly.co.uk in volumes 42 and 43, a comic called The Weird World of Wilfred Weed, about a boy called Wilfred who moves to a very creepy village filled with all these weird villagers, but his parents seem to think it's the most wonderful place, and he's the only one that seems to be able to see all the weirdness and the creepiness. And then more recently, I've started making, actually actively making pages for a graphic novel that will be 120 pages, called Save the Songbirds, Brothers in Wings, about a group of songbirds who work together to stop a group of hawk terrorists. It's an anthropomorphic world. Imagine Zootopia mixed with Mission Impossible and a bit of Looney Tunes added for good measure. Those are the things that I've been working on. Save the Songbirds, actually, I've been working on and off since I was about 11 years old, and I'm finally working on it today. But that's not what this video is supposed to be about. I'm just going to talk about the inspirations that I've had for comics. So I first discovered comics when I was a child, and I used to read The Dandy, which was a British weekly children's comic, humor comic, and it would have various different comic strips in it. This is an annual that would come out every Christmas, and this is one I got at Christmas time. I also read the Beano, which the Beano is still running. The Dandy sadly isn't, but they still do summer specials and annuals and things like that. And those two things really introduced me to comics in general. And from that, I started reading newspaper comics like Garfield and Calvin and Hobbes and other comics like that. And I started drawing my own comics and creating my own comics filled with different characters. But I really started creating the kind of stories that I want to make, and the kind of stories I want to make now, like Save the Songbirds, when I discovered Asterix and Tintin, two European comics, Asterix from France, Tintin from Belgium, and I just got so enwrapped in the longer stories with adventure and humor and more character-based humor than there was in the Beano and the Dandy, and I just really loved the stories that were being told there, and part of the reason as well why I use a format where you have 4 rows of panels per page, so the pages are actually filled up quite a lot with a lot of panels, is because Tintin and Asterix are done like that. So you get quite a lot in less pages. So my style kind of developed as an amalgamation of Beano and Dandy kind of style characters, and then Asterix and Tintin kind of thrown in there. Asterix probably being inspired by the cartoony characters, and then Tintin being inspired by the sort of clear line of the characters, but also the buildings and locations in the stories as well. I also, similar at the same time, I got into Captain Underpants books, where you have George and Harold, who create Captain Underpants comics within the narrative of the books, and that just sort of inspired me in a different way of wanting to be like George and Harold and come up with comics. Into my teens, I discovered Bone, which is the last inspiration I'm going to really talk about, and that was a huge inspiration for me in that it was a ginormous narrative that centered primarily around 3 cartoony characters, and that's becoming more common now for you to have serious stories with cartoony characters. But at that time, to have like a Lord of the Rings-esque story, which is what Bone is. It's kind of like Looney Tunes mixed with Lord of the Rings. To have a story like that was quite unheard of, really. And now you have things like Rick and Morty, and I'm just trying to think of something else. I don't know, but the idea of you having, there's quite a lot of comics and web comics these days with cartoony characters and serious stories, like Drive by Dave Kellett. That's one that comes to mind, and some others. But because I wanted to tell big epic stories with cartoony characters, that was a huge inspiration for me in that way. And also it kind of what always confused me about Tintin and Asterix was that there was never chapters, and because Bone was originally released as issues every other month or so, the books are the books have chapters, and I just think that's for quite a long narrative, and I want to make long narratives. I think chapters are a good way of being able to help people to just like a novel, being able to read it over time, and and I think that hopefully that will help people to digest the stories I create more as well. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video to just talk about my inspirations a bit and introduce myself. I don't know whether anyone will find this video. Hopefully you will. I'm going to keep making videos, trying different things. I appreciate you watching, even with me saying a lot. And I will hopefully do some more videos and show some more of the kind of things I am working on and have worked on in the past. So thank you for watching, and see you later.